Honorable members, we will now take farewell speeches to the Honorable Dr. Pieter Mulder upon his resignation from the National Assembly. I call upon the Minister of Science and Technology, Honorable Pando.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. It's a privilege and honor for me to have the opportunity to bid farewell on behalf of the African National Congress to the Honorable Mulder. Honorable Mulder has served in Parliament, I see from my Googling of his name, for 28 years and is probably the longest serving MP in the House at present. From our perspective as the African National Congress, he has been in Parliament since the dawn of democracy in 1994 and has, I believe, served in accordance with the oath he swore at the start of each of the new parliaments since the dawn of democracy. He played a part in the drafting of our Constitution, and I'm sure that he would probably be among the first to say his party did not get all that it wanted out of the process of drafting a new Constitution. Nevertheless, he is one of the authors of the supreme law of our land. I recall the role he played in formulating and arguing for Clause 185 on the Commission on the Protection of Linguistic, Religious, and Cultural Communities. Again, at that time, not a full victory, but I'm sure he would say an advance on his and his party's ideas on how a democracy may address concerns of a formerly oppressive minority faced by a new democracy and a majority enjoying freedom for the first time. I wonder, when he looks back, how the Honorable Mulder would weigh the changes and progress we have achieved in our 23 years of democracy. Along with all of us, he can mark the introduction of compulsory education for all children by the ANC-led government from 1995, a first in the history of our country. He again, surely with all of us, must recall and celebrate that many more young South Africans enjoy access to higher education, to postgraduate study, and to opportunities that they had never had before the African National Congress came into office in our country. I'm sure with all of us, he will appreciate the free health care available to the poorest in our country. And while with all of us, he would call for a far higher improvement in quality, he would mark that access as an advance. He also, with all of us, is party to millions of people having homes that they never had a hope of having before. He is witness to millions of people enjoying access to water that they never had before. He is witness and party to millions of people having access to energy. He is witness and party. There are, of course, colleagues to my left who are shouting, "Not Mulder, not Mulder." Well, we are all in one parliament, and whatever we pass is a responsibility of all of us. He is part of us achieving free association. He is part of us achieving free expression for South Africa. He may not share all that we believe in with respect to equality and affirmative action, but nevertheless, he was part of a parliament that has as its mandate to achieve that. So to me, Dr. Mulder is a true South African. We don't always agree on all issues, but I have not had cause to doubt his commitment to our country. He may balk at the implementation of a number of our agricultural programs as well as policy in that regard. He differs fundamentally with us in the African National Congress on the need to ensure greater ownership of land by the black majority through means including expropriation. This disagreement is, of course, acceptable in our democracy and our parliament, and he has been first to acknowledge that part of what you should have in a parliament is a robust debate, but also an awareness that in the end, we have a responsibility for the future and the character of our nation. We celebrate with the Honorable Mulder the fact that our struggle for freedom gave life to an open and robust democracy. We celebrate that we had great leaders who were able to reach a rapprochement. Among them was General Constant Viljoen, who the Honorable Mulder replaced as leader of Freedom Front Plus. We also celebrate that we had leaders such as Mr. Mandela, and the leader we celebrate this year, Oliver Reginald Tambo, who are the authors who laid the foundation of the Constitution that we enjoy today. As the ANC, we recall the Honorable Mulder as leader of Freedom Front Plus and as an MP of that party. We, of course, wish that as he retires, we will finally see a woman occupy the National Assembly benches of the Freedom Front Plus. Of course, we live in hope, but we hope that that Honorable Mulder will happen. I noted with great interest that when the Honorable Mulder commented on his departure recently in the public domain, he said his party is well established, it is without debt, and it has branches and structures in all provinces. Well, I'm not quite sure about the branches and structures, but he's very fortunate not to have any debt whatsoever. We also wish him exceptionally well in his retirement. I note that he's a former academic, having been professor of communication at Potchefstroom University. I'm sure he's not returning to a life of academia. But Honorable Mulder, you have served your party, the Freedom Front Plus, well, I believe, and you did duty to our country as a Deputy Minister of Agriculture, and you have been, I think, a patriot and a true South African. We wish you well.
Honorable Dreyer.
Mevrou die Speaker, ons collega Dr. Pieter Mulder het 'n lang pad geloop tot vandag waar hy hier sit en ons nou van hom afskeid neem. En daai reis gaan terug al die pad tot in Randfontein. Toe ek destyds kiesafdelingshoof was vir Mogale City in die Wesrand met Randfontein as naburige kiesafdeling, het ek sy spore daar raak geloop, sy spore daar gesien waar hy inderdaad diep spore getrap het. En dit het hom gebring op die ou en tot by hierdie huis waar ek dink hy een van die mees senior lede is, indien nie die langsdienende lid van hierdie huis nie. Hy het werklik deel geword van die institusionele geheue van hierdie parlement. En as mens inligting wil hê oor iets wat gebeur het op enige stadium, dan kan jy maar vir Pieter Mulder gaan vra en hy sal vir jou 'n storie kan vertel. Een van die bydraes wat Pieter Mulder gemaak het, was in terme van minderheidsbelange. In die diverse land soos Suid-Afrika is die beskerming en verdediging van minderheidsbelange van groot belang en daar het Pieter sy bydrae gelewer. Hy het egter ook 'n fout of twee gemaak, as jy nie omgee dat ek dit noem nie, Pieter, toe hy in Zuma se kabinet gedien het as 'n junior minister, as 'n adjunkt minister. Maar Pieter het sy fout raak gesien en toe is hy op die ou end is hy toe nie verder daarin gedien nie, maar hom toe aangesluit as 'n lid van die koalisieregerings, eers in Kaapstad, toe in Johannesburg en Pretoria en in ander plekke soos Modimolle en Mokgopong, waar hulle gewaardeerde koalisievennote is. Maar vandag is nie 'n dag vir politieke debatte nie. Ek sal verkies om eerder op die mens en meer persoonlik te fokus. Pieter, as 'n professor van kommunikasie, is inderdaad 'n meester van kommunikasie. Hy is 'n man wat van 'n goeie storie hou. As jy in 'n tou staan by die lughawe om aan boord te gaan met die vliegtuig, of by die eetsaal in Marxgebou, Pieter het 'n staaltjie reg. Ek is seker hy het sy studente vermaak met talle stories toe hy klasse gee het by die universiteit. En ek glo hy sal nou kans kry om sy kleinkinders te vermaak met die talle stories wat hy reg het om te vertel. Maar Pieter het hierdie kundigheid as kommunikator ook gebruik in die debatte. En ek was bevoorreg om enkele kere direk as 'n teenstander saam met Pieter op te tree. Ek sien hy glimlag en hy knik sy kop daar. Tydens elke verkiesing hou die verskillende radiostasies debatte tussen verskillende politieke partye. In Afrikaans is dit dan op RSG of Radio Sonder Grense en ook Pretoria FM. En so het ek dan talle kere teen Pieter te staan gekom. Ook op Kerkplein onthou ek onder die streng blik van Paul Kreer met Kobus Bestra as gesprekleier, waar ek saam met meneer Terror Lekotta, ek weet nie of hy vandag hier is nie, en Andries Snell, ek het hom nou hier gesien, en Pieter Mulder daar in 'n debat deelgeneem het. Dikwels het Pieter ingebel op die RSG, en dan het luisteraars ook vermaak met sy stories. Soms het my kollega Desiree van der Walt my gebel en gesê, of 'n SMS gesê, Pieter is op RSG, Anshin bel gou in. Dis het nie altyd reg gekry nie, maar dit wys op ons het sy bydraes as belangrik geag en ons het gesorg dat ons deel van die saak ook sou bring. Ook in Café Riche, ook daar op die Kerkplein, waar ons een keer in 'n warm debat was, ook in die Radio FM debat, sal ek nooit vergeet nie, hoe dit 'n uiters warm debat was, en Pieter vir my gesê het, Anshin, jy beklei soos 'n tierwyfie. Nou, ek weet nie of hy dit so goed bedoel het nie, maar ek het dit beslis as 'n compliment opgeneem. So dankie daarvoor, Pieter. Dan op kultuurgebied, die Afrikaanse Kunstefees Aardklop gebeur jaarliks in Potchefstroom. En ek besoek dit graag. Toe ek eendag daar aankom en tydens etensuur by een van die kerke se terrein gaan kos koop en vir middagete, was my verbasing groot ek vir Pieter hier agter die een van die toonbanke raakloop, waar hy koffie en tee en koeldranke bedien. En ek het inderdaad toe vanaf Pieter kan ek sê as kelner 'n koppie koffie gekoop, en dit het inderdaad baie goed gesmaak, Pieter. Maar ek dink dit wys ook op Pieter se nederigheid en sy bereidwilligheid om te dien, letterlik en figuurlik. Nou met jou aftrede, Pieter sê hulle, 'n man wat hy aftree, hy tree nie werklik af, hy verander net van werk. Waar jy nou in die parlement gewerk het, gaan jy nou by jou huis op jou vrou se senuwees werk. Nou ons hoop nie dis werklik so nie, maar ons geniet, Pieter, ons wens vir jou 'n nuwe era, 'n voorspoed in die nuwe era voor. Ons hoop dat jy vir jou kleinkinders baie stories sal vertel tot hulle vermaak. Gaan wel en totsiens.
The Honorable Paulson.
Yeah, at some stage we all have to pay for our sins, so this is my payment. But before I start, on behalf of the EFF, I would like to again thank the people of Mitsimaholo who turned out in numbers to vote out a kleptocratic ANC. Maar ik wil nou graag vir dokter paar woorde met dokter paar deel. Ik verneem dat er altijd een Mulder in hierdie parlement was. Daar was nooit 'n regering wat 'n program van geregtigheid vir die oormeerderheid van die mense van die land gedryf het nie. Baie mense het hier gestaan en gesels oor wat dokter in die verlede gedoen het. Nou, ek wil graag, as 'n Suid-Afrikaner, vir dokter sê wat ek graag wil hê dokter moet in die toekoms doen. Die familie was altyd deel van hierdie parlement. So u skuld ons, die familie skuld ons, julle skuld die land. You must help us create a South Africa where there is justice. Almal in die land wil vryheid hê. Maar nie ten koste van geregtigheid nie. En geregtigheid beteken dat die land aan almal van ons behoort. Ons wil nie blanke mense wegwens nie. Ek wil julle nie wegwens nie. Ons sal julle mis. Julle is deel van die land. Julle het nêrens om te gaan nie. So ek dink in die aftrede dokter moet u aan ander Afrikaners. Ag, julle is nie regtig die oorspronklike Afrikaners nie. You appropriated the language and the culture, but you must tell other Afrikaners, ons wil hê dat die land gedeel moet word aan almal wat hier bly. Dat nie een Suid-Afrikaner meer reg tot hierdie land het as enige ander nie. So in die toekoms, dokter, hoop ek dat Mulder in hierdie parlement sal praat oor geregtigheid vir alle Suid-Afrikaners. Baie dankie en vaarwel.
The Honorable Singh.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. It's a great pleasure to represent Inkatha Freedom Party and my leader, Honorable Buthelezi, to bid farewell and give our greetings to a colleague that we've worked with for many, many, many years, in particular my leader who's been here from 1994. I got a bit worried, Honorable Speaker, when I saw the image on the screen, and I noticed that it was the other Mulder that you were showing. There are two Mulder brothers here, and it's a Mulder at the back. That's the one that's retiring, and I'm sure they've corrected that. As we've heard, Honorable Speaker, the Mulder family have been involved in politics in our country in different forms for decades now, and I just hope that the current lot of Mulders have somebody down the hereditary line that could come into politics when they are not around. Having said that, Honorable Speaker, we've heard that Dr. Mulder has been a former lecturer at Potchefstroom University. He occupied a seat for the Conservative Party when he won a by-election in 1988. And then in 1994, when I became a member of the Senate, representing IFP in the Senate, Dr. Mulder was here with his younger brother in the National Assembly. And it is from that time that I have had an association with the Mulder brothers. In 2009, he was appointed to the executive, serving in the capacity of Deputy Minister of Agriculture, Forestry and Fisheries. And I am told that he is going to be writing a book during his retirement, and I'm looking forward to the chapter which speaks about his relationship with the ruling party and himself when he was a deputy minister. That's something I'm looking forward to, Dr. Mulder, and you can write about it after you leave this House. I think a very important fact, Honourable Speaker, that we often overlook is the fact that Dr. Mulder, Honourable Mulder, has 5 children, and he's been married for 40 years. And to the same wife for 40 years. And the reason I'm emphasizing this is far too often, we as honorable members of this House forget to acknowledge our partners, whoever they are, and our families for the support that they give us to enable us to continue doing the work on behalf of people of this country. And I want to pay tribute to Mrs. Mulder and her family for being that pillar of strength to Dr. Mulder, and pay tribute to all our family members for being there to support us whenever we need that support. Without them, we would never be here. In conclusion, Honourable Speaker, and on behalf of my leader, the Honourable Buthelezi, and members of the IFP Parliamentary Caucus, we wish you farewell, colleague, and Godspeed as you enter this new and blessed phase of your life. Retirement just means doing the same things, but doing it at your own pace. You won't be called to order by the speaker, as I will be called to just now because my time is going, and you can do things. Your wife will call you to order at home. All the best. Godspeed. Thank you.
The Honorable Mwabe.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Greetings to colleagues. The NFP joins this August House to bid the farewell to our colleague. Honorable Mulder, you have served South Africa well, both as a member of parliament in your capacity as a leader of Freedom Front Plus and as a Deputy Minister of Agriculture, Forest and Fisheries from 2009 to 2014. Whilst we did not always agree with the views you represented, however, we acknowledge and commend the dignified way in which you conducted yourself here in this House and in the corridors of this House. The political arena is not for the faint of heart. It is robust and often brutal. Not only did you survive, but you became a veteran, one of the few remaining members of this House to have served both the previous and current dispensation. That, Honorable Mulder, takes stamina, conviction, integrity, and determination. You have displayed all these qualities and more. We respect the way you have steadfastly stood by your beliefs and convictions, stating your position clearly whilst vigorously engaging in debate. You are a fine example of a gentleman in a true sense of the word, cautious and at all times exuding the calmness even when the going got tough. As an NFP, we are honored to have served along you in this House. We wish you prosperity, good health, and joy in your retirement, and trust that your family will be delighted in having more of your quality time available now. On behalf of the NFP, on behalf of my leader and my caucus, we wish you well. Baie dankie.
The Honorable Kwankwa.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Beste Dr. Mulder, baie dankie vir die werk wat jy vir Suid-Afrika gedoen het oor die jare. Dit was werklik 'n voorreg om saam met jou te werk. That Afrikaans is difficult, I tried. On behalf of the United Democratic Movement, I'm personally honored, on behalf of my leader, to bid farewell to you, Dr. Mulder, as you decide to go on retirement. I agree with the comment you made to me earlier, that there comes a time in life when we have to retire and focus on other challenges. But as you retire, I want to urge you and call upon you and remind you that we, as people, never take leave from contributing to the welfare of the nation. I say we're honored because today we say farewell to a leader whose leadership attributes could not go unnoticed even at Riebeek High School in Randfontein, where I was head boy and Victor Lundram in athletics. Dr. Mulder, as an academic lecturer at Potchefstroom University, was promoted to head of the university's communications department. This means that he contributed to the development of the country even within that space. We believe, as the United Democratic Movement, that each period or epoch defines its specific challenges of national progress and leadership. And because it does so in an environment that recognizes that no man is an island. And that during the period shortly before our transition and shortly after our transition, we understood that no man is an island, and that together we had to try and map a new way forward and build a South Africa in which we could look forward to the sunrise of our tomorrow. We thank you very much, sir, for your contribution and the role you played during this period. One of the things I'm going to miss about you, and perhaps a role and the qualities of your organization, the Freedom Front Plus, is that you always know where you stand with you, right? We always know where we stand with you, even in instances where we don't agree on issues. But the nice thing about your political party is that you stand for something rather than leaders that don't stand for anything. And the other issue is that we fought for
your right to say whatever you want to say, even when we disagree. And as politicians and leaders, we must appreciate and understand that we are not always going to agree. As we bid you farewell, I remember recently I spoke to your younger brother, Pieter Mulder, and I said to him, during the Black Monday protests, I said I was concerned by the deafening silence of the voice of the Afrikaner leadership during that period. And I thought he was going to protest it. But in your style, he admitted and said, yes, we could have done more, and in future we'll do more. That is what leadership is about. We thank you very much. And taught a bit of African languages as well. Thank you kindly.
The Honorable Groenewald.
Achtbare Speaker, ek staan met gemengde gevoelens hier. Aan die een kant 'n besondere voorreg om dan ook hulde te bring aan die voormalige leier van die Vryheidsfront Plus, Dr. Pieter Mulder. Dis ook 'n voorreg dat sy vrou Trina vandag hier so in die galery is. Pieter Mulder was 'n gebore leier gewees. Hy is op skool was hy die hoofseun gewees. Op universiteit was hy voorsitter van die studenteraad. Iets wat u dalk nie weet nie. Hy kan nogal goed sing, want hy het vir etlike jare het hy in die welbekende Alabama sanggroep van die Potchefstroomse Universiteit vir Christelike Hoër Onderwys het hy gesing. Hy het nog altyd sy hele lewe lank het hy 'n aktiewe rol gespeel in die ontwikkeling van ook sy medemense. As ons gaan kyk na sy stokperdjies wat u dalk ook nie weet nie, is geskiedenis en die sterre. U kan hom baie vrae vra oor die geskiedenis. Baie keer sê ons, as jy saam met Pieter Mulder die Voortrekker Monument gaan besoek of selfs hierdie parlement, as jy vir hom 'n vraag vra, gaan jy doodseker wees, jy gaan 'n antwoord kry. Partymal gaan jy 'n lang antwoord kry. Maar dan kan jy maar ook vir hom vra oor die sterre, name daarvan, en dit sê ook dat Pieter Mulder se horisonne ver en vooruit strek. Hy het altyd gesê in die politiek is 'n goeie politikus 'n persoon wat oor die bult kan kyk, om behoorlike politieke ontledings te kan doen. En in daardie opsig is ek bevoorreg om te kan sê dat hy my mentor was in die politiek. En hy is nie verlore vir Suid-Afrika nie. Ek dink dit sal dom wees as die media en die radiodienste hom nie sal gebruik in die toekoms as 'n politieke ontleder nie, want sy analises was altyd korrek. U kan maar gaan kyk, sy voorspellings van opvolgstryde was nog elke keer korrek wat betref politieke leiers. Hy is 'n persoon, siene in die lig dat almal boeke skryf, wat al reeds in 2008 'n boek geskryf het met die titel Kan Afrikaners toi toi. Dis al reeds in 2008. En die titel kom daarvan dat hy in sy gesprekke, toe hy juis die saak van die Afrikaner destyds by president Nelson Mandela gevoer het, wat president Nelson Mandela vir hom gevra het, maar jy sê nou dis wat die mense wil hê, maar kan die Afrikaner toi toi? En ek kan u verseker, hierdie boek, wat al, soos ek sê, reeds in 2008 gepubliseer is, bevat verskeie staaltjies juis van die parlement. Onder sy leiding het die Vryheidsfront Plus gegroei met meer as 15% en ons sê vir hom, baie, baie dankie. Ons gaan jou mis, Pieter. Jy was die langsdienende lid in hierdie parlement. Jy sit die vaandel nou oor op jou broer, Dr. Pieter Mulder, wat nou na jou uittrede die langsdienende lid sal wees, nog steeds in die Vryheidsfront Plus, maar van die Vryheidsfront Plus, en veral die Afrikaner, baie dankie vir jou onbaatsigtige diens, saam met jou vrou Trina.
The Honorable Lekota.
Achtbare Spreker, namens die Congress of the People is ons ook blij om deel te nemen in die welvaart van die Mulder-familie, Dr. Mulder en zijn familie. vorentoe. Hy is een van die spesiale mense wat Suid-Afrika het vandag. Hy vertrek nadat hy die laste dae van apartheid gesien, deelgeneem in die skrywing van ons grondwet, en dan ook die pad gelei vir almal om in hierdie huis in te kom, om wat ook al probleme ons het hierin te bespreek. Mense moet altyd onthou dat Pieter Mulder was deel van die groep generale soos Constant Viljoen, generaal Tini Groenewald, wat die jong Afrikaners wat bo geveg het, gesoebat het, om deel te wees van die onderhandelingsproses. En die manier het gehelp wees dat nie al probleme tussen Suid-Afrikaners vooral nodig geweld om op te los. En deur hierin deel te wees met die werk wat ons gedoen oor die jare, het hy ook voorbeeld geskep wat geen een van ons mense kan nie raak sien nie. Daar is wel baie van ons mense wat Suid-Afrika verlaat het, omdat hulle onseker was van wat die toekoms sou hou, omdat hulle geglo het dat geweld sou openlik uitbars en almal se huise en vroue en wat doodmaak. Maar hy het nou gewys dat hy so goed geglo aan die toekoms van die Afrikaners tussen al die Suid-Afrikaners, dat hy gebly en aangebly tot nou nog. As gevolg, dat is heel wat van Suid-Afrikaners in Australië, Nieuw-Zeeland, Canada, oral die wêreld, wat dit nou oorweeg om terug te kom. En ek sê vir Pieter, jy het ons 'n baie groot geskenk gegee. Ons kan hoor, hulle stap soos hulle terugkom. Hulle kan nou sien dat Mandela se versoening om 'n nuwe Suid-Afrika te skep hier is, en hy kom. Soos hulle stappe dreun, ons moet en ons gaan herhalend die woorde van C.J. Langenhoven herhaal. Ons sal offer, ons sal antwoord op jou roepstem, ons sal offer wat jy vra. Ons vir jou, Suid-Afrika. Ek dank u.
The Honorable Swart.
Achtbare Speaker, dit was vir ons in die ACDP 'n groot eer ons saam met Dr. Pieter Mulder in die parlement te kon dien. Ons leier, achtbare Meshwe, het saam met hom in 1994 gedien en was saam betrokke gedurende die grondwetlike onderhandelinge wat tot ontstaan van ons grondwet gelei het. Ek en achtbare Dudley het vanaf 1999 saam met Dr. Mulder en sy kollegas van die Vryheidsfront Plus gedien. Ons is baie jammer dat hy nou gaan uittreë, maar het begrip dat elkeen van ons seisoene het om te dien. Dr. Mulder het ook in president Zuma se kabinet gedien as adjunkt minister van Landbou, Bosbou en Visserye. En daar is vele kritiek teen hom en sy party gelewer toe hy daai posisie aanvaar het. Ons het saam daai aspek na die tyd bespreek en ek is oortuig dat dit die regte besluit was. Ons as gelowiges is geroep om sout en lig te wees, waar ek al onsself bevind, ook in die kabinet. Hy het sonder twyfel daar 'n belangrike rol gespeel en soos ek verstaan het met nederigheid bygedra het met beide kennis en wat meer belangrik is met wysheid. Daar is ons insiens 'n ontsettende leemte aan wyse leiers en dit is jammer dat Dr. Mulder ons nou gaan verlaat. Ons het egter begrip vir sy besluit en die geweldige opofferings wat hy reeds moes maak. Ons sê dankie aan hom en sy vrou Trina en sy familie vir daardie onbaatsigtige opofferings. In 2 Korintiërs 5 vers 18 lees ons dat Christus ons die bediening van versoening gegee het. Dr. Mulder het beslis 'n belangrike versoeningsrol gespeel in ons nasie. Dr. Mulder en generaal Constance Viljoen se rol destyds met die vreedsame oordrag na die nuwe Suid-Afrika kan nie onderskat word nie. Hy en generaal Viljoen is geskort uit die destydse Afrikaner Volksfront weens hulle betrokkenheid by Kodesa. Hulle het net voor 1994 verkies in die Vryheidsfront gestig. Dit kon heeltemal anders uitgedraai het, indien hulle nie die houding ingeneem het van vredemakers nie. En ons is dankbaar vir daardie rol. Geseënd is die vredemakers en ons eer Dr. Mulder daarvoor. Ons van die ACDP wens Dr. Mulder en Trina en sy familie alle sterkte met sy uittrede uit die politiek. Dokter, jy het diep spore getrap en 'n belangrike nalatenskap gelos. Ons sê aan u baie dankie. Dankie, agbare spreker.
The Honorable Njaisa.
Ja, ik kan ook Afrikaans praten, but not at this time of the day. Thank you very much, Honorable Madam Speaker. You know, when I heard that Honorable Mulder is retiring, having been here for 40 years, I thought perhaps that I would approach him and just ask for 0.7% of the big pension that he's going to get. Dr. Mulder is a seasoned politician. As AIC, we're aware of his political role in this country. The 40 years of experience that he gained as a member of parliament is telling a lot. Though we've not been in parliament for all these years, but we have seen, and we could even notice his contribution that he was making this parliament. Just for the period that we've been with him, just for 3.5 years that we've been together with him in this parliament, we have been appreciating the manner in which he was trying to maintain the decorum of the House, pleading with the members to behave. So whatever positive or negative debate or contribution you made in this parliament, we do appreciate because it has contributed a lot. We also say you go home and have a rest. We know, of course, that a man will never rest until he dies, but now you are just going to have a pause because I'm sure now you are going to be engaged somewhere. So we appreciate the contributions that you made, so the experience that will never go away from you. Dr. Mulder, I know that you have got some skills that you would like to impart to these young ones because of your experience, political and otherwise. So those are the skills that you would like that you impart, then you teach our young ones how to behave and to engage in politics. So we hope that you are going to do a lot even for the country, though that now you are going out of parliament, having done a lot. So we thank you very much for your contribution. So have a rest at home. Farewell. Thank you very much.
The Honorable Godi.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, comrades and honorable members. The African People's Convention, the Revolutionary Party, congratulates, bid farewell, and wish well Dr. Mulder as he takes his deserved rest from Parliament. We do so appreciating that we stand on opposite poles of the ideological spectrum. I represent the forces of African nationalism, whilst I think he stands for Afrikaner nationalism. These two forces have historically represented the thesis and antithesis in the political, social, and cultural milieu in our country. These contradictions have not been properly resolved by the liberal consensus of Kempton Park in 1993. It has been the long-standing ideological position of us Pan-Africanists that the resolution, the synthesis of these contradictory forces is our common Africanness, Africanism, where all those who owe their loyalty to Africa and accept the democratic rule of the African majority are regarded as Africans. Dr. Mulder is a gentleman, well-mannered, always courteous to all, and his character always shines through beyond his politics. His ability to articulate his party's position in a composed manner, always playing the ball and not the man, is commendable. The ability to do your politics without shouting, insulting anybody, or grandstanding carries lessons for all of us in the House. It has been so, especially in the 5th Parliament, that shouting, insults, gross disorder, disregard for the decorum of the House have become associated with this House. We wish you well into the future. Go with your quiet dignity. Israel, Africa.
The Honorable Mulder.
Speaker, you must not do that. Speaker, I'm honored by this debate, and I'm honored by all the contributions. I really wish I could react to every speaker. There's an old political saying that said, all political careers end in tears. Now, with my decision to voluntarily resign as a Member of Parliament, I'm trying to avoid exactly that. It does, however, not mean that I'm going to stop being actively involved. I believe that I still have a role to play in my community and in various spheres of society. Allow me a few words to express my gratitude. What have I learned in this House in this limited time? I've learned that my truth and your truth may differ, but that we still can debate with each other and still respect each other. I've learned that I've not persuaded someone just because I've silenced him or her. I've learned that anger is a wind that blows out the lamp of the mind. I've learned that politicians with talent are discovered in this place, but I've also learned that others are found out in this place. I've learned that if you make a mistake, the media like to portray you in a cartoon with your foot in your mouth. I've also learned that in this House, a closed mouth at the right time gathers no feet. I also learned, and it's very important, that no one can make you inferior without your own consent. I've learned that the hallways and the corridors of Parliament is the only place in the world where stories and sounds travel faster than light. I've learned to be careful to wish for the departure of an opponent. There's always the risk that the replacement is even worse. I've also learned that in South Africa, identity is a highly debated topic. Are you South African or a Christian? You must debate that. Are you Zulu or are you South African? I believe that we really sometimes complicate this matter unnecessarily, as we all have a number of identities. My own identities ripple outwards like concentric circles. Firstly, I'm a family man and a father to my children, but I'm also an Afrikaner, and I'm also part of the greater Afrikaans community, but also a South African, because I only have one passport and only one continent as my home. Africa, in that sense, I'm also an African, and I'm a Christian all at the same time. All these identities have a role to play depending on where you find yourself. As a Christian, I believe that I played my role here as a humble instrument in God's hand. In my identity as a South African, I served as a deputy minister for 5 years. At that time, I was the only minister that was not a member of the ANC. The Afrikaner said, Pieter het weer in den ganse kraal het uit my gesê. At that stage, my FF Plus youth leader resigned because I did that. Another member of parliament and several other members of the FF Plus also resigned. But I still believe that taking that job was the right decision, as it allowed me to contribute to making South Africa a better place for all of us. Because I said more than once, if this South African ship goes down, we all go down together, not one alone. As Deputy Minister, I had the privilege to address African leaders at the African Union in Addis Ababa, in Ethiopia, assuming the identity of an African that is concerned about my continent. I was able to point out in that speech that neither the West nor the East really cares about Africa since the Cold War ended. My message was that we are going to have to solve our own problems from now on. Right from my first day in Parliament, my belief as an Afrikaner was that minority rights and self-determination must form part of the permanent solution to South Africa's problems, and you'll know I argued that accordingly. I also maintained throughout that all the official languages in South Africa should be treated equally, just like the Constitution prescribes. You know, it took us nearly 7 years of debates before we were able to establish an interpreting service for all 11 official languages in this House. If you want to help the people of South Africa regain their dignity, and that's a very important part after 94, I believe the first thing we need to do is to stop treating some languages as inferior to others, and that goes for all 11. Allow me a few acknowledgements. First of all, I would like to thank my supporters who supported me in 7 consecutive elections, and who made it possible for me to represent them in Parliament for nearly 3 decades, 29 years. I'd also like to thank the Freedom Front Plus and my colleagues here in Parliament over there. I think we made a good team, and I believe we often contended out of our league. Thank you to all the other colleagues here in Parliament for the debates and talks during which we formed one another, and that's part of this House. A special thanks to the members of my committee for the spirit in which we were able to go about our business. A heartfelt thanks to the Freedom Front Plus staff. And I want to mention they're sitting at the top there, Darlene Stein, Pieter Swart, Wanda Marais, Amanda Hughes, and Karine Neft, and others, who often worked under pressure and kept to deadlines, and who made it possible for me to be smart and to do my job. I would like to express my gratitude to the Speaker behind me for her job, and the other presiding officers for the role they played, and also for the extra 10 seconds they often gave me during all my different speeches. Thank you for that. I may just add, Speaker, no Speaker had the privilege in that 29 years to send me out of this House and to send me to leave. I've never done. They would never do it. To all the parliamentary staff, the administrative staff, the police out here, and the restaurant staff who work so hard behind the scenes, my sincerest thanks. You know, often amid all the political frustrations in this place, my lunch and their friendly service was the highlight of the day quite often. I have the greatest appreciation for my mother, who always supported me. She's now 90 years old, and she keeps telling me to leave politics. It's not a good day, it's very dangerous, she said. And yet, she still watches the parliamentary debates every afternoon on TV. Then she phones me afterwards to tell me that I need a haircut and that my shirt and tie did not match, you see. As a family man, I would like to thank my family for all the sacrifices they made over the years. Thank you to my wife, Trina, in particular, who worked in the Northwest, and we often had to raise the children on our own while I was here in Parliament. She was here sitting in the gallery when I was inaugurated 29 years ago, and she's here again today. We have been married for 44 years, but she says that I was away from home, from Parliament and political meetings so often that if she counts the days that I was at home, it only adds up to 7 years marriage. So I'll have to make it up now, going back there. Thank you very much, everybody. May God bless us all, and may God bless South Africa.
Thank you, honorable members. for the very heartfelt tributes from members from different parties. I wish to thank Dr. Mulder's wife, the family, and the office for all the support to him over the years that he was here. I wish Dr. Mulder to remind you of the occasion on which you led a delegation to the head offices of the African National Congress. And these are some of the things that happened behind the scenes. What struck me that day is that you led the FF Plus to come and express to the majority party that you were coming to pledge your willingness to be part of building the future of this country. You shared with us perspectives, information, and understanding of the community that you come from, which we found very valuable. I want you to know that. And I want South Africa to know that we should agree that the biggest task that we have as South Africans and as South African leaders is indeed, at the end of the day, to make sure that we can leave a legacy that we did our bit during the time we were honored to serve, in order for us to build a better South Africa. And on a couple of occasions, I've called on you, Dr. Mulder, right here in Parliament to my office, to contribute to a role that we are often called upon, and I think Honorable Buthelezi often is, to be an elder of this country. Because we serve but for only a short time, and we must always make the best of it. We thank you for doing it, Dr. Mulder. And we hope that you will indeed enjoy the rest of your time. You've often talked about your grandchildren. Enjoy them thoroughly. Of course, it will be strange to see only one of the Mulder brothers sitting in the bench over there. But we wish him good luck. Thank you, honorable members, and farewell to you, Dr. Mulder, on behalf of the presiding officers.